Guys, I'm on the red carpet of Justice League of America, Doom. It's a new animated feature that's coming out. You guys are going to see the interviews later in the show. And Brandon Gibson, also on the show, gets made up all in goo and gets turned into a zombie. And our man Sean Edwards sits down with the cast and the man, Tyler Perry, from the movie Good Deeds. Let's go. That's me talking to director Guy Ritchie before our interview. Pretty cool, huh? You know what's really cool? It's how I got here. Like most kids, I found my heroes in the movies. My dad took us to drive-in theater every Friday. It was there that I found the best and the worst that Hollywood had to offer. My first date was in a movie theater. When I grew up and work sucked, you could find me in a matinee recharging my batteries. Then one day I decided to create a website, IC Places, to write about movies. Tech grew and cameras went from this to this, and we started filming the Instant Movie Review. That's when a guardian angel took notice and invited me to stop talking about movies and start talking to the people that make them. And that's how I ended up here in the movie capital of the world. I'm Steve Samblis, and this is my show. Welcome to IC Places Hollywood. This was great. So we're on the red carpet right now of Justice League of America, Doom. It's the latest animated feature that's coming out the end of this month on Blu-ray. We got a chance to talk to the director, both not just the director, but also the voice director, a very interesting woman. We got Tim Daly. Check it out. What's up, man? Steve Sanders, how you doing? Good to see you.
Looking good, man.
Thank you, brother. Hey, I was on the set this summer interviewing Bentley Evans. I love that girl.
Nice.
And dude, TV One's now at 16 million viewers. Did you know that?
I had no idea.
You guys are like 11 million away from BET.
Wow.
That's amazing, right?
That's big growth in a small amount of time.
They're doing a good job, and your show is amazing. And you and Tatiana both got Image
Both got
Awards.
nominated, and the show got outstanding comedy. So I mean, for such a little network to get that kind of recognition from the voters, it says a lot to not just the network, to what Bentley and Stacey have done, and what our whole cast has done. One of the most talented young casts I've ever been around.
Well, Bentley's just amazing, and he's the best juggler I've ever known, isn't he?
He really is. From the Martin Show to Jamie Foxx to all the things he's doing. I mean, he's just got a handle on it, and he's a worker. You know, he loves the business, and he loves the people that he works with. So it shows.
I didn't get a chance to talk to you that time, but you were there, actually. You were filming.
I'm always there.
Oh, you're right, exactly. I got Alfonso and I got Bentley, and it was just we sat in the sofa over there. It was a beautiful interview, man. The whole set was just, the place had a family feel to it. The High Point just had that thing going on.
Yeah, really. And, we didn't have a lot of executives in our face, which is a good thing in a way, because then you're free to fly with it, you know what I mean? You don't have people, culling it because they need to be heard,
Like showrunners or something.
In a way. Bentley is the showrunner, if anything. And so since he was our showrunner and our writer and our director, it was like one-stop shopping. You had a question, you go right to the man, as opposed to going to 10 people to figure out what the answer is, and it dilutes the information.
He's right there, which is beautiful.
He's right there, so.
Now you got to tell me, now at this point, I feel there's got to be a Jackie Childs movie. Aren't you feeling that?
Well, the more people talk about it, the more I'm feeling it. Yeah, and Jackie's like, I'm all over that. So, whatever the public wants, Jackie will supply.
Do you realize at this point right now in time that character still stands up as it did when you were on Seinfeld? It stands up just as good. Do you feel that?
Well, I do, and especially when people respond the way that you're responding, that's really our drug, because we can't do it in a vacuum. We need the response, we need the support of the fans, the audience, and that's what Jackie got. And I think Jackie's such a force of nature. People want to be like Jackie in a way, you know what I mean?
But they can't be,
I know, they can't. Nobody's like Jackie.
Now, talking about a vacuum, now this is this particular one you shot separately. I know a lot of acting is working with somebody great and bouncing off them. How do you do that, man? How do you get that rhythm and it's that performance when you don't have something you're bouncing off of?
Well, you got to do a lot of homework. You got to come with a lot, as we always do. But especially in these instances, and that's what helps when you have an Andrea Romano or a Bruce Timm. They know that universe so well, especially they know that particular script so well. They set you up, and if they're doing their job, they set you in a place that's kind of not, I don't want to say easy, but a lot easier to then move forward with your dialogue organically, because they're giving you so much.
Because it needs to seem like it's not a performance that is organic.
Right.
It's a conversation.
Right, and because of Andrea's skills as an actress as well, when there's not another actor to throw the ball back, she throws it back with aplomb. So we're very, very fortunate to have her. Your
character is dramatically different than this one, than all the other ones. almost like a Renaissance man. I want to say, almost. I'm feeling that.
Exactly. That's exactly how I'm playing it. Because when you've lived that long and you're as intelligent as Vandal Savage is, there's so much that you soak up. And imagine the people he's met and the influences he's had over these generations. You know what I'm saying? Wagner, Beethoven, Mozart, Schubert, Debussy. These are the men he knew. So I think he draws on all of that, and he sees himself as a little part of all of those influences. So it's kind of easy to play him big.
Good character for you, man.
Thank you, sir.
Dude, good luck. Is it more tomorrow? Good luck, man. I was so excited to get a chance to talk to you today.
Thank you.
How does somebody be a voice director? It's so specific.
I'm sure you're going to ask about voice actor, but this is a better question. Thank you. Most of the voice directors that I know went through very similar paths as I. I started as an actress, and then this was a little bit of a diversion, I became an agent. I represented actors who did voices.
Okay.
And then I became a casting director at Hanna-Barbera for many years, and then I became a director. Many people I know who direct start as a casting director and then move into voice directing. It's very common, yeah. It's an interesting field. It's a limited field. There's not that many people that do it and do it well. I know a lot of people you hear these stories about casting directors who don't really like actors. I like actors a lot. I love actors.
Thank God, because you're around them a lot, right?
I am. And I love their process. I love their creative ideas. I love their input. When I prep a script, I hear the dialogue read in my head. I hear the way I think it should be. But I like to keep open enough so that if an actor comes up with a different version of that, I go, you know what, it's not what I thought, but I think it's valid. And I turn to my producer and say, will that work with what you were planning on doing? And hopefully together we let the actor have that input, because you want creative people. You just don't want them to be technicians. You want them to be actors and creative people.
It is opening in the last couple years up. We have Common did Happy Feet. We had, obviously, Robin Williams is always doing voice work.
Right.
But these guys are actors first. How do you take an actor and turn them into a voice actor?
If they're a good actor, half the battle is won. If they're just good at manipulating their voices, they're probably fun at a party, but it's not really good for getting a really good dramatic piece. So if they're a good actor, that's it. I can teach microphone technique in a single session. That's easy. How about not popping on the microphone and not making mouth clicks and all that kind of stuff? Most actors who have worked on stage move very easily into this because the energy is right. There's a little bit more pumped up energy. Film is so small and so subtle. Yeah, it is. Because we record the voices first. So it's got to be a little bit bigger, broader. They're going to animate to that. So we've got to give the animators something to grab onto. So it's a little bit bigger energy than TV or film would be, just regular TV on camera and film. So stage actors who are a little bit broader in their performances usually make that segue a lot easier. Now, I've worked with film actors who are strictly film actors, who are good actors, who actually could not do voiceover.
It's interesting because I remember it was Adrian Brody told me that you act to the other person, not to the camera. And so somebody like that wouldn't work on a mic, I don't think, because they
if I'm doing my job well, then they're acting to me. So they are acting to someone. So I'm feeding them their lines, and they're, if they're not in an ensemble record, I'm feeding them their lines, and they're acting back to me. So in fact, they do still have that give and take.
I'm really excited about the fact that we're seeing more longer feature animated movies. Because like us adults, we want those.
Absolutely, I think so. And I think kids. I know they're talking about kids having limited attention span. These movies are not made for little kids. They're made for older children, and I think they can take longer than 68, 70 minutes. I think they can take a 75, 90-minute film. So if the story needs that much time to unwind, and we can keep it interesting all the way through, then I think that the audience will take it too.
Great. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
When we come back, more cool stuff from I See Places Hollywood. Stick around. Steve Sambliss, how are you?
Hi,
Good.
nice to meet you.
Good to see you. So you play Wonder Woman. Where do you go to bring that out of you?
The script, it's there. It's the script tells me where she is, and then I auditioned for her a long time ago, and they said, "You're our gal." So I know that I'm there in the studio being that person. I can do that. So she's there. She's inside, and so it depends on, is she fierce, is she quiet, is she being flirtatious, and then I bring that depending on the moment, what it calls for.
When you're on the mic, how much physicality do you bring to your body as you're acting these things out?
A lot if you're doing the action scenes. A lot.
Swinging stuff and all that?
Hugely. I mean, oh God, it is a workout. It is not going to the gym that day because you are kicking and punching and I mean, if you're being hit or electrocuted or all of this, and in this film I really am put through the ringer, you have to stand up and just feel that. I do. Whether it's a video game or an animated, you've got to, for me to get there, I've got to do something physical.
Tell me about voice work and how it's different than if you were on camera.
I think there's a natural freedom to it because it's not about vanity to the extent that on camera has to be, right? Because it's your face. And now with HD, it's really your face. And I think that's hard. And I think that people can get consumed by that. I understand that. In front of a microphone, it's a microphone. Now, when you're in a room full of people and your fellow actors and a director and a voice director and your producer, there's nerves and there's self-consciousness because you want to do good, but it's just a different experience altogether, and there's a comfort level I have with this.
I talked to Robin Williams about that because he obviously did a lot of on-camera work, and he said the same thing, that it's just so freeing because you let everything else go, and you can bring everything to your tonal inflections, which I think is so exciting. That's why these performances, what you guys do, are so dramatic when you really think about them, because you are so open and just let go.
Right, absolutely. And there can be some real intimate moments where it's real quiet, and then it can be like full throttle, crazy, let it loose stuff, and it's all there in that room, and it's all there in front of this microphone. You know, it's thrilling. Thrilling.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Tim, Steve Samlis, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, how are you?
Good, man. I have to watch Diner at least one time a year.
Oh, that's great.
It's just, and dude, you look the same, man. I mean,
I wish that were true, but thank you.
I figure you got a picture of Dorian Gray in your attic or something like that.
Something. That was a long time ago.
A long time. It was like the 80s. When, as an actor first, if you can take me back to the first time you got on the mic to do Superman. As an actor, you have so much tools. You have your body and your emotion and your expressions, but now you just got your voice. Is there a wall you hit it? How does that work? Is it...
Well, I mean, in some ways, it's almost freeing because your voice can be a little bit more heightened, and because you are doing a cartoon, and I rely on great people like Andrea Romano to sort of guide me through the whole thing, but it's interesting to watch. I mean, I haven't been around a lot of voice actors, but the ones that do the Superman stuff will very often be doing a lot of body English as they're performing these roles. You can't see it, but there's a lot of when you're fighting,
operatic kind of stuff, like stage, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of gesticulating and all this stuff, particularly in the fighting sequences, to sort of give you that visceral feeling of what you're doing.
Now, playing Superman, such an iconic character, where did you go for that? Because once again, all voice again, but did Andrea just say, okay, this is what I want from you, or how'd you bring that up? Superman out of yourself?
From the first time I read for the part, they just kind of looked at me and said, "You're the guy," and I had no idea why.
With your normal voice?
Yeah, and I asked them, "Do you want me to do anything special?" And they said, "No, this is it." I think they wanted a Superman who was very believable, who wasn't over the top, and something about the quality of my voice worked for them. So I really didn't have to dig that deep in order to change something vocally for myself. Now, when I did Bizarro, one of those characters, the alternate Superman, that was a lot of fun and much more, that was much. The thing is that Clark is a little more innocent than Superman. but he is no less of a straight arrow. You know, neither of them have a lot of bends in the road. You know, but you know, Clark keeps up a veneer of being a little bit more innocent, a little bit more naive, whereas Superman has seen all these bad guys, and you know, his relationship with Batman has even evolved over the years to where he is almost amused by Batman's cynicism. So I think that differentiates them.
That's cool. Wait, thank you so much. It's good talking to you.
Hey, how are you?
Steve
Nice
Samuels.
jacket.
Thank you. Nice shoes.
Thank you.
These are pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I have to ask you now. You have you were an actress first,
Yes.
but you're a singer as well.
Yes. I'm a singer-songwriter.
Okay, so great voice actor. Does that come more from the singing side or from the acting side?
It's a really good question. Like, can I just process that? Oh my God. I think it's a combination of the two. I think, you know, I think I'm really lucky I have this gift with my voice where I'm able to kind of do anything. And if I have a character or I write a song and I connect to it, then I'm going to sing it and knock it out of the park. If I have a character that I connect to and it touches me, then I'm gonna knock it out. And if I don't, then I'm not. You know, it's all about how it moves me, how it stirs me up inside emotionally.
Then, so how much does Andrea help to get you moved in the right direction?
A lot. Because she's such a sensitive, she's an artist herself and she understands actors. And so, she has the actors that she has in the room with her in that studio that she's cast. She knows that they're going to give her what she wants. So she knows exactly what buttons to push to get them there. And she just has to say two things and you immediately make the adjustment.
Lastly, when you're finishing a scene doing voice, as opposed to being on camera, is the voice more taxing to you?
It's a whole different muscle. That's what's so amazing and so challenging about animation, is that you're literally creating a character through one thing. But it's still the same work. You still have to have all the same depths and make it three-dimensional. But it's just that facility. It's just coming through you're not being seen. So it's not about body language. But you have to bring all the body language through your voice. So that's what's so intriguing to me about it, is it's another way to really have a full-fledged three-dimensional character, but just through one orifice, I guess.
Thank you so much. That was good, Orifice.
Yeah.
We'll use Orifice. When we come back, more cool stuff from I See Places Hollywood. Stick around. Guys, I got to tell you, my favorite genre of movies is zombie movies. And I'm so angry because it wasn't me, it was Brandon. Brandon got to literally sit down with and get all gooed up and turn into a zombie in our new feature called Behind the Mask. Check this out.
Here we are right inside Boneyard Effects with the man himself, Larry Bones. Larry, thanks for letting us in to play around today.
Absolutely.
Okay, now looking back, I see all kinds of incredible stuff in here. How long have you been into this?
I've been into this since I was a very small child. I've always loved horror movies and playing in Play-Doh and things like that, so it was just a natural fit.
See, I've always said it always starts with Play-Doh. When did you, going back into the history of this thing, when did you build your first mask or prosthetic, and what was it?
Actually, it was in Oregon before I moved down to California. I'd been reading all the books I could, soaking up as much knowledge, so I actually started up there. And it was actually very crude and rough, and I saw, okay, I need training. So moved on to California, I did.
What was it? What did you...
It was actually a devil demon I did on a friend of mine up there. It was very crude, but it was a start.
And what did you make it out of?
It was actually out of whatever clay I could find at the art store. It was nothing like we use today. It was modeling clay of some type, a little above Play-Doh, just a little.
A little above Play-Doh, baby steps. Okay, now I want you to walk us through the process of what it goes through to make a mask. I don't know, what is this guy back here? He's been whispering things at me. Do we know this guy?
Absolutely, this is one of our generic head forms. We use this in our spray booth for spraying full head masks. So what we'd normally start with was we'd just come up with an idea, a concept to some degree. And what we do is come over here and we'll start with like a full head form like this, which we actually will create the sculpture on. We use an oil-based clay. We use these actually melting pots right here so we can soften it up to kind of speed up the process. Many times you'll have only maybe 2 days to do a full head sculpture.
Wow.
So we need speed. So we start with the melted clay rather than having to knead it by hand.
So this is it just feels like just hard clay.
Absolutely.
Right here. That's all it is. Okay. And then you put it in the melting pot there, and this is what it looks like when it.
Yeah, like this would be like a full head form. This is actually made out of the same material.
Oh wow. Wow, that's dense.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just got a shiny surface on it, but we made it with a crystal clear coat before we did a mold with this particular piece.
Okay. All right. Good. So this is not for fondue.
This is not for fondue.
Okay.
Do not put your turkey in this unit.
We're at the molding department. What happens now once we get to the molding department?
After the sculpture is completed, it comes over here to the molding department where they have to create a negative, basically. The mold is the representation of the sculpture itself. So they're doing stone work on here and creating a negative mold that actually then goes off to the foaming station.
Foaming station. Now what is all this stuff over here?
Now these would be a representation of many of the molds that we made in this section. So these are all UltraCal molds, and these are basically ones that have been wrapped up and retired and ready to go off for storage for the year.
Okay, gotcha. So these are different heads, and I see different bodies and things like that. So now you were explaining to me a little bit earlier what happens with these things. Like a big syringe or injection thing happens with some of these?
Absolutely. So like one of these things, it would be really difficult. We need to get foam inside of this. It's a foam rubber. So
right.
It would be very difficult to get the foam rubber in here and get all the pieces of the mold slapped back together. So they do this completely strapped together and use a gigantic syringe and inject foam inside of these molds before they can go off to the ovens.
All right, so here we are in foam, where we're not actually in foam. We're not.
Literally.
I don't think I have to explain that. Okay, so I see this thing right here. Now this is what you talked about earlier. This almost looks like something from a Bugs Bunny cartoon.
It absolutely does. This is our gigantic foam syringe gun. So the foam is mixed up into these mixers, put into this big syringe, and injected into the molds.
And just hold that up and let's get a good look at this. Insert your own joke here. All right, so from foam, you get the foam done, you get the big giant thing. Where do we go after that?
At that point, the molds go over to our oven banks.
To the oven. Let's go to the oven. All right, here's the oven.
Here's the oven. One of our mini ovens. These are basically, after the foam has been put into these molds, they need to be heated and cooked up to be cured. So these things get filled up every day and basically run for about 5 hours to cure off the foam.
All right, now you were telling me earlier, usually when you think of an oven, you think of high temperatures and things like that. Obviously, you said this thing can get super hot, but usually what do you cook these things at?
We try to keep these things at only about 135 degrees Fahrenheit. They'll cook fine. It takes a little bit longer, but it's a little bit easier on the molds and make them last a little bit longer.
And how long does it take each piece generally to get cooked?
Basically, we run them overnight. Basically, so at the end of the day, we turn on these ovens and we come back in the morning and everything's ready to go and ready to open up and start the process over again.
Here we are at patching and painting. Now, Larry, you do a lot of work for Universal Studios, and if anybody's ever heard of Horror Nights or been to Horror Nights, Halloween Horror Nights, you're the man.
I am, absolutely.
You create all these things. Now, I was there last year. I was a ringmaster, and you created my face and
Yes.
ears and my whole get-up and everything for that. This was one of the clowns that was in the section I was in. This is Bernie. Now, this is what Bernie looks like pre-painted and just with no special stuff done to it other than the mask being made. So what happens? How do we get Bernie from the Bernie we know here to the Bernie we knew at Halloween Horror Nights?
Well, this basically is how it's going to come out of the oven. So when it comes out of the oven banks and the negative molds are removed, this is what's going to be inside. So it'll come over here, and what they're going to do is they're going to take this little seam line or any imperfections, if there's any bubbles in this, and they're going to take this down and get this thing completely smooth and perfect. And it's going to be ready to go off for paint.
All right, so here we are in painting, and boy, this guy. Now listen, everybody knows that I'm a big Florida Gators fan, and something tells me that there's a lot of people that see me this way during football season. What do we got here?
This is a character from Horror Nights. This is our lizard boy. So what you see here is actually after it has been patched and painted, and what we've got here is finished look with a little bit of its hair works done over here. So it's basically a completed look at this point.
This is incredible. So all this stuff is hand painted? How is this done?
It's actually
Sprayed?
it's a combination of airbrush work and hand painting. All these little teeth are cast separately and individually tacked into place. And then the hair is actually glued down and then punched in individually.
Now, how long, like this one in particular, what's the start to finish time on a piece like this?
It's going to take probably about 3 days, full days for someone.
3 days?
3 full days of someone working on this.
And you can really see it. I mean, there's a lot of detail in the teeth. There's a gloss or some sort of shine or something in the teeth that make them look, they make them look real.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's one thing we try to do, even if it's a fantasy character, is to try to bring as much realism as we possibly can into the character.
So 3 full days. So you guys, obviously you make the mask, and do you like to make a solid piece too for some of these things, just to keep it?
Yeah, absolutely. So like some of our favorite characters, like this one is one of my favorite ones. So we did a display piece just for the shop, just to have around, someone to talk to at night.
That's right. Okay, so once we get it done from here, so that's pretty much where the whole thing is completed. It's finished right here, right?
Absolutely. Once it's done here, we actually put it onto our shelves and get it ready to go. We do about 200 of these things every year. So you can see that these shelves will be completely full by the time we're done.
Where do you put everything? I mean, it looks like that. That would take up a lot of space. Now, this over here, these are the different, this is the silicone here.
Yes. Now you see our rainbow clowns and our semi-straight edge. These are going to be silicones. These are much more stretchy, much more skin-like than foam. This stuff also has a 20-year shelf life, so once we have these masks, as long as they don't get tore up, these things are going to last for quite a long time.
20 years.
20 years.
So versus those, the other ones, the foam ones, you can't reuse those. You take them off and they're done.
Absolutely. And the fact, at the end of Horror Nights, these things have been absorbed so much sweat from the actors that these things, no one wants to touch them. So these get trashed, where these can just be wiped out.
Yeah. Wow, that's incredible. And look at just the detail in these things. It's incredible. That's crazy. I went to school with a guy that looked like this. I didn't really. I didn't go to school. Okay, cool. All right. Well, you're gonna change me a little bit today. Is that right?
I am.
What are you gonna change me into?
We're gonna turn you into a zombie.
I'm gonna be a zombie. That's cool. So this is it. I'm a zombie, and it's all his fault. Larry Bones. What do you think?
It's awesome.
Look pretty good?
You're looking awesome.
I gotta say though, I do have a craving for the human leg. So if you find me chewing on your leg in public sometime, it's not my fault, it's his. Speaking of your fault, what if people want to get themselves to look like this?
You can get many of these products from our website at www.boneyardeffects.com.
Boneyardeffects.com. Put a graphic on the bottom of the screen. Just like that. Good. All right, Larry, thank you so much, man. I really had a blast and learned a few things, too. I have to buy a giant oven and cook things. Now I'm wanting to cook people. You see what you've done to me? This is awful. All right, I'm Brandon Gibson. This has been Behind the Mask.
He's been called the $300 million man. Tyler Perry has built an entire industry around the movies he's done. We had a chance to have Sean Edwards sit down with the cast and the man himself, Tyler Perry, about his new movie, Good Deeds. Check it out.
This is your second time around with Tyler, right? But when I say Tyler Perry, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
Trust.
Ooh,
Yeah.
nice answer.
Yeah. it
Trust. That's the best thing when you're an actress. That's what you're looking for, right?
Yeah, but mutual trust. It's a privilege to have been given the trust that I was given, because for him this was a big departure, and
Huge.
He had a lot of responsibility, which he's very used to. But actually, what was more daring for him was breaking out of that responsibility and being more revealing. I think there's a tendency when you've got so much and you're the head of this enormous empire, which he is, to not reveal yourself. And I think it was incredibly, for him to be humbled like that, and for him to be willing to really just be more vulnerable, I think it's a really big deal.
It is, and a little bit of pressure may be on you because your character is sort of like where he was in real life. This is sort of his story.
It is his story. I know, he wasn't he like literally living on the streets in Atlanta
Yes.
when he first arrived?
Yes, he is the true example of a success story.
Well, that's, I think, partly why he was able to write Lindsay as a three-dimensional character, as someone who can't be easily judged. You know, because you see that, you know, she is emotionally abusive to her child, and that she makes her kid lie. A lot of pressure on her child, and the kid ends up in social services. But you also see the terrible circumstances that have led her to have to do that.
Right, but it's also a very timely story right now,
It
too.
is.
Love the Essence cover. I love it. Nah, the Essence cover's classic.
Thank you.
That's good. It's almost frameable.
Well, it's framed in our house.
Well, I
but
bet it is. It better be. That's nice.
our
That's
house,
nice.
my mama's house.
I was gonna say it's got to be multiple framings of that, so it's good though. That was a good look though. I like that.
We got very good response. Like, I didn't think it was gonna be that much of a.
Nah, people like to see that. That's why people are gonna like this movie. You know why? People like that love, man. People like romance. They like to see people together.
Yes.
Yes, that's what I like about Tyler Perry, man. He's got a way of creating those strokes where he brings people together in a way you really haven't seen before.
Yeah. I mean, to have, you know, my character, it would have been so easy to write her like a witch with a capital B, and to make her real, you know, sort of backbiting and jealous and mean to Tandy's character. But,
Yeah, real mean-spirited.
yeah, and she's not that. She's what we call a resume person, looks great on paper. There's nothing wrong with her. She's a nice person. There's just maybe we're missing that thing, that spark, that passion
Been there, done that.
equals forever. Yeah, which are the hardest ones because you're like, there's nothing really wrong.
Right, but
When
it
someone's
just
like, well,
can't
what
go
did I do? And you're like, nothing.
Right, exactly. It's just
Nothing.
not working out.
There's nothing to fix. It's
Right,
just
exactly.
not going to work
It's
for
just
us.
not going to work. So
Yeah.
we're going to be cool, but we're going to move on.
Yeah.
So congratulations, man. You're still doing it, and just you're getting bigger, you're getting better.
Thank you,
And then,
Sean.
then you had you had the ultimate title, like top earner in Hollywood. Like, what does that mean to you personally and professionally? And does it even matter?
Doesn't matter because, you know, those things come and go, and it's all about getting up, going to work. Man, do you know how, if people knew how many, when they like, oh, Tyler Perry made this much money, but what they don't say after that, this is what I wish they would say. Tyler Perry has 400 people working down in Atlanta. Tyler Perry has, Tyler Perry has made more African-American millionaires in the last 6 years than all the studios in Hollywood combined. You know, I wish that was under it. So that's what it means to me. I'm able to do so much more for other
So in
people.
other words, Tyler Perry has bills, and Tyler Perry has provided opportunities for others.
Yeah, Tyler Perry's choice is to make sure that everybody else is coming along.
Well, that's what I want to talk to you,
Yeah.
because the one thing that you don't get credit for, and the one thing that I talk to people a lot about is you hire a lot of black women in front and behind the camera, and what does that mean?
You know what? It just means that, because first of all, I'm just telling stories that I know. You know, these
Right.
women are women that I know, that I grew up with, that are all around me, that are still around me, and I'm telling stories, and to be able to tell those stories and have women of color be able to sink their teeth into rich roles, man, it's fascinating to me.
That is to really truly be commended, because you probably hire more together than all the other studios combined in the past 10 years.
It's quite interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, when you look at it, because you don't see a lot in leading roles, so
Yeah.
I really commend you for that.
Well, thank
Now,
you.
this story, Good Deeds,
Yeah.
a lot of it's really close to what you went through personally, right?
Yeah, well, you know, I use a lot of, because I tell people Tandy's character and what she was going through is what I went through when I was broke and struggling, and Wesley's character is a lot of what I deal with on the other side of it now that I've seen some success. So I had a good reference for both. But you know, what the movie is about more than anything is that live your own life, run your own race. Don't worry about what mom said or daddy said. We all have our own journey and our own path on this planet, man. And if you follow it, you'll be happy. It's going to lead you to joy. If you
Okay.
don't, you end up miserable like this guy was. Had everything in the world, but he was very unhappy.
right.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of good deeds, what's the one good deed you've done in life that you're most proud of?
Well, I don't know if it's a good deed or if it's a responsibility, but being able to take care of my mother, and I thank my audience for that, man. Just, they've been with me from day one, and they put me in a position where, forget all the other stuff, just the fact that I was able to take care of my mother, that's the greatest gift. Greatest gift.
There's no bigger gift than
Yeah,
that, man. You
greatest
got
gift.
to take care of moms.
Yeah,
man. Moms
yeah.
is always
Yeah.
number one. Always. That's why Mother's Day is bigger than Father's Day.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All around the world.
All
Yeah.
around the world. It's,
Yeah.
it's universal.
Yeah.
All right, here's what I want to find out from you. What's on your DVR? What does Tyler Perry watch? When you're not busy working, writing, producing, directing,
And
what do
you know what?
watch?
That's the only time I see it's full of stuff. But for the most part, Unsung, new show.
I
on
love
on
Unsung on TV One.
Blows your mind, right?
Yeah, my boy Frank P. Williams produces that.
Is that right?
Yeah.
There's so much, man. There's so many lessons in that. I wish everybody who's in the business would watch and see what these people did right and what they did wrong. So I watch a lot of that, and I love Survivor. You know, reality show. That's probably the only one I'm really watching all the time.
I'm down with you on Unsung. Did you see the UTFO Unsung?
No.
You gotta check that one out. It's hot.
I'm sure it's on there.
Yeah, I'm not down with Survivor, but
My favorite unsung was Millie Jackson.
That was a good one too.
Yeah, Millie Jackson.
Yeah, I like that one and the Pendergrass.
I haven't seen that one. I'm gonna watch that soon.
All right, check it out. Man. Keep doing big things. Big things.